The movie starts in the future. At a border crossing roadblock, soldiers are checking cars as they go from the USA to Canada. John, a military man, and his wife Karen are at the border. They drive up to the checkpoint, and she wants to do this alone, but he's not letting her go. She quickly tucks in a jacket part that's sticking out before the soldier comes over to check on them. They both get out of the car and get themselves checked. As they get their bags checked, another lady is flagged at the checkpoint because she is pregnant without permission. In this world, women are only permitted to get pregnant once in their life, regardless of the outcome, and the rest is illegal. Karen goes up to the next point to get checked, and the scanner clears her, and they breathe a little and quickly go to their car. A soldier hands John a bag, but then notices the tag from Karen's jacket. He rips off her top to reveal the jacket used to trick the machine, but John grabs him and breaks his arm. They try to fight off the guards and escape by running across the bridge. Dogs are sent to chase them down, and John makes her run ahead so he can stop the dogs. They quickly get to him, and he can't fight them off as they bite down on his arms and legs. Soldiers get there and take the dogs off and arrest John. He gets up and is happy because Karen has managed to get away. John is now in a truck full of prisoners being transported to the largest and most secure prison, the Fortress, operated by the Mentel Corporation. John reveals to his fellow inmates that he's here because his wife got pregnant again after they lost their first baby. The truck full of prisoners pulls up at Mentel Prison, but before they can go into the place known as the Fortress, all the prisoners have to take off their clothes and get washed. Poe, the person in charge of the prison, greets the prisoners through screens placed above their cells. Each prisoner is then given a gadget named Intestinator. This gadget lets Mentel control what the prisoners do. If a prisoner needs to be severely punished, the gadget can be made to blow up. John and Gomez trail a control robot named Z-10, which acts like the human guards, to a room with 3 other prisoners. These include Stiggs, who rules the cell, D-Day, the resident genius of the group, and Abraham, a peaceful and quiet man with a mysterious look. When the system announces that there's only a minute left before it's time to sleep, Abraham tells John and Gomez that they shouldn't dream when they sleep. During the night, John has a dream where he's being intimate with Karen. Poe, the director, watches this through the Z-10. The gadget quickly reads John's mind and discovers his unsuitable dream. After that, the system sets off the Intestinator, causing John a lot of pain. John looks at Abraham, now understanding why Abraham had warned him against dreaming in this prison. The following day, John is dispatched to a construction site within the prison complex. Out of nowhere, he hears a desperate cry for assistance nearby. A man named Maddox, identifiable by the number 187 tattooed prominently on his forehead, is attempting to overpower Gomez. John, driven by a sense of justice, intervenes to halt the assault. This sparks a brawl between John and Maddox, which is abruptly ended by the activation of the Intestinator by the prison system, which detects the outbreak of violence. John, Maddox, and Gomez are then detained for several hours, while the prison authorities determine the instigator of the fight. Observing that Gomez is visibly drained from the ordeal, John decides to take the fall and confesses to starting the fight. As a result of his confession, he is escorted to meet Poe, the prison director. In the offices of Poe's workspace, John observes Abraham, who is performing the task of shaving Poe. Abraham is not just any inmate. He is Poe's most reliable and trusted associate within the prison walls. The scene takes a turn when Poe directs John's attention to a monitor displaying live footage. The screen reveals Karen, who appears to be held captive within the same prison. Poe can't help but comment on Karen's beauty, revealing a sinister interest in John's wife. The situation escalates as Poe gives a chilling command. Both John and Karen are to be subjected to a simultaneous and brutal procedure of intestination. During a later mealtime, John inquires Abraham about the location of the women's prison. Abraham discloses that the women's section is situated on levels A and B. The next day, Maddox seeks revenge on John. Poe intentionally delays intervening, causing a crowd to assemble around the escalating conflict. From her level, Karen is able to observe John. As the brawl continues on the walkway, Poe commands the system to withdraw the bridge. John capitalizes on this opportunity, overpowering Maddox and causing him to lose his footing and dangle from the walkway with one hand. Poe instructs John to finish off Maddox, but John defies Poe and rescues Maddox instead. In response, Poe orders a splattergun to target Maddox's intestinator, resulting in a gruesome scene as Maddox's abdomen is blown apart. Poe then commands the activation of a random intestinator among the prisoners, including John. In that instant, John stumbles upon Maddox's intestinator that had fallen to the ground. With a quick glance around, he discreetly tucks it away out of sight before being escorted to solitary confinement to face his impending punishment. In the punishment room, Karen is granted permission to have a brief conversation with John. Following their exchange, John is subjected to a torturous ordeal involving a gimbal that relentlessly spins him around. Adding to his torment, he is plagued by vivid hallucinations, transporting him back to happier times with Karen and their firstborn child. 3 days later, Poe proposes a bargain to Karen. He offers to free John on the condition that she agrees to stay with him afterwards. Unable to bear the sight of John's suffering, Karen consents to reside with Poe in his quarters. John is then returned to his cell, but he is a changed man. His appearance is terrifying, his mind seems to have shut down, and his body appears devoid of any feeling. While all of this was going on, Karen finds herself spending her inaugural night in the personal space of Poe. To her surprise, she discovers Poe in the act of augmenting his power from the system, a sight that leaves her astounded. Poe then unveils a surprising fact. He has been modified into a highly effective cyborg by the entity known as Mentel. The plot thickens as it is revealed that Poe was the first offspring born to the female inmates who were pregnant and had been successfully transformed by Mentel. In a twist of events, it is revealed that Karen's unborn child is also intricately woven into Poe's elaborate plan. Simultaneously, Abraham is making efforts to help John regain his emotions. As this is happening, Karen finds herself growing fond of Poe and begins to weave him into her own schemes. In an attempt to execute her plan, Karen tries to intoxicate Poe by offering him a glass of champagne, which results in Poe losing consciousness. Seizing this opportunity, Karen stealthily makes her way into the control room. She enters John's dream, successfully rousing him from his catatonic state. Fortuitously, Karen is able to return to her original location before Poe regains consciousness and discovers her absence. As dawn breaks the next day, John communicates to his friends that he has finally emerged from his 4-month-long catatonic state. He comes to know that Karen has relocated to Poe's living quarters in a bid to safeguard his life. John makes a declaration to the group, stating his intention to liberate Karen. The narrative then shifts to Abraham, who began with a humble cleanup job for Poe. Abraham stands out as the sole prisoner who has been granted parole. During their time in the living quarters, Abraham confides in Karen, sharing details about John's plan to escape. The hope is that Karen will intervene and prevent John from attempting the escape, as no one has ever successfully managed to leave this place. Contrary to expectations, Karen reacts with joy, telling Abraham that she will actually be trying to help John with his escape plan. In the confines of their prison cell, John approaches D-Day with a request to repair a device known as Maddox's Intestinator. However, D-Day stipulates a condition for this task. He must be included in John's plan to escape from the cell. John agrees, knowing that he will have to manage any potential issues with D-Day once they are on the outside. Meanwhile, in Poe's living quarters, a woman named Karen skillfully conceals a precious diamond. This is no ordinary gem, but a holographic lens that reveals intricate maps of their fortress, a crucial tool for their escape plan. As time passes, Abraham delivers the diamond to John and the rest of the group, enabling them to execute their escape plan. D-Day utilizes his eyewear to activate both the laser and the diamond. John announces that their escape will commence from the construction area. The next day, Abraham assists the group in returning the diamond. Poe then questions Karen about her choice to separate from John, assuring her that he won't modify their child like others do. Karen proposes an additional agreement to Poe. She will agree to marry him if he releases John. She is to provide Poe with her final decision by the following evening. Upon hearing this from Abraham, John makes up his mind to make his escape the next morning. D-Day makes a discovery that the Intestinator devices have magnetic properties. This means they can use a repaired one to pull other devices from their bodies. Stiggs volunteers to be the first test subject, but only if the group agrees to include him in their plans. The process causes Stiggs intense discomfort. Eventually, the Intestinator emerges from Stiggs' throat, freeing him from the control of the system. D-Day then assists the rest of the group, helping them to remove their own Intestinators one by one. The following day, John collects all the devices and places them on a water pipe. The group stages a fight to distract the guards at the construction site. As expected, the system activates the Intestinator when it detects violence. Poe notices the mistake in the system, but it's too late to correct it. The system causes an explosion at the pipe, creating a large hole big enough for the prisoners to escape through. Poe then commands a widespread activation of the Intestinator among the prisoners. He retrieves the steam bulbs and triggers the attack clones to wipe out all the prisoners. The group is unable to pass through the steam, so they retreat through the pipes to avoid getting burned. Stig chooses to give up to avoid further punishment from Poe. However, as he emerges, Stig is shot several times in the chest. At the same time, in Poe's living quarters, Abraham discreetly escorts Karen away, but Poe shows up shortly after. Abraham engages in a struggle with Poe to protect Karen. However, Poe is not human but a machine, making him invincible. Karen attempts to assist Abraham by thrusting a shard of glass into Poe's back, but it has no effect. Simultaneously, the attack clones infiltrate the pipes and start shooting inside. John manages to pull one of the clones in and shatters it. The group swiftly seizes the powerful firearm from the destroyed clone and dashes out, blasting at the other clones outside. As they run, D-Day's glasses break, but he narrowly escapes harm thanks to John's assistance. The trio leaps to Zed's main control panel and takes cover behind the device to evade the camera, all while the crows cheer them on. Soon after, they enter Poe's room. John aims his weapon at Poe and tells him to move. They discover that Abraham is no longer alive. John finds out that Karen was taken to the surgery room. Poe informs John that only the child makes it out alive from the surgery room. John must let Poe go or Karen will not survive. But Zed tells Poe that Mantell won't talk terms during a hostage crisis. They hurry to the surgery room, but Zed shoots at Poe, leaving him in a terrible state. Zed blocks the only exit, waiting for the attack clones to come and wipe out the remaining inmates. D-Day instructs John to take him to Zed's computer hub and manages to disturb Zed with a computer bug. Sadly, not long after, D-Day is taken out by an attack clone. In his final moments, D-Day manages to turn off the lights in the entire prison, which delays Karen's surgery. The virus causes all the clones to go haywire. John and Gomez rush to find Karen, while all the prisoners seize the chance to flee from Fortress. At last, John, Karen, and Gomez manage to get to the surface using a stolen truck. Along the way, Karen is ready to have her baby. As they reach Mexico's border, John has to halt the truck at a barn to help with Karen's delivery. But the truck is turned on again by Zed. It drives itself to the barn, taking Gomez's life in the process. John is able to destroy the truck using his weapon. However, the truck crashes into the barn, where Karen is lying down for delivery. As the movie ends, John is in despair, believing he has killed Karen and their new baby. But all of a sudden, he hears a baby's cry and is relieved to see they are both safe. They can finally live like a family. And with that, the movie ends. We hope you enjoyed our video. Watch the next recaps on the screen, and don't forget to subscribe for more amazing recaps. See you in the next one.